You know, it's been said that if you want a long and happy life, get diagnosed with a chronic illness and spend the rest of your life taking care of it one day at a time. That's what happened to me. I think that I came into this world with some gifts, with the essence of who I was meant to be. And I drifted from that. And I grew up in a world that told me how I should be. And I think what my life has been about over this past 5 decades is searching inside of myself to find out what that gift is. I remember the influence of my father in regard to this. He was kind of a combination between a social worker and a farmer and an artist. And he really didn't honor any of that. What he did was that he became an administrator. He was meant to paint. He was meant to create. And he pushed that gift down in order to fit into the world, in order to be an administrator. I remember him being very passionate and concerned about making sure that I understood kind of what, to give me a picture of what he did for a living. So he took me to city council meeting one night. I was 12 years old, and what I began to understand is he would present his case to city council. And what I discovered in watching him is that he was an advocate for people who had special needs in the community, elders, children, poor. And his job was to go and get money and to solicit money from the city in order to pay for these social service programs. And I will never forget, there was this angry city council, redneck city council, just pounding his fists on the desk and saying, why can't these people pick themselves up by their own bootstraps? And I looked up at my dad, and he had tears in his eyes. And he stood tall up against the city council, and he said, with all due respect, sir, what if this person doesn't have any boots? You know, I was always a good kid. I always did what my parents wanted me to do. I did what my teachers wanted me to do. I never really went through adolescence until I was in my 20s. At the age of 30, after an enormous amount of time, a great deal of instability in my own life, you know, almost on the verge of bankruptcy, both economically and spiritually. My dad died, and was in a very, very, very dark place. Went out on the highway behind our home in Lethbridge and was about that close to standing in front of a black Kenworth truck that was coming this way. I mean, I was in bad shape. I was in trouble, but you know, again, the irony of it is I'm the only therapist in town that I trust, and what the heck are you going to do? Finally broke down and went and saw the psychiatrist, and after a pretty thorough assessment, what I was told is that I had my dad's mental illness, that I was manic depressive like my dad was, that I inherited the gift of my dad's depression and his manic behavior. One of the things that my dad taught me was to dialogue with depression, to write it, to become my depression. So I would write, I've learned over the years to write letters to my depression, and then I become my depression and write back. And then I return the letter, and I'll go back and forth sometimes 4 or 5 times. And in that process, we have a dialogue, an internal conversation around what is the depression really trying to teach me. And it's been a huge guide in my life. And I think, for want of a better word, it's been the way that God talks to me. And I need to listen to it and honor it and respect it.